Hello people. The last video of this chapter, that is life in the deserts, this will be by video number 3 where we are going to discuss about the cold desert. The last video of this chapter, the last video of geography portion. Okay, with this we will be done with our social science portion of class 7. So let us just start about life in the desert, Ladakh. Now, Ladakh, it lies in the Great Himalayas on the eastern side of Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, then it is also called as Khapa Chan. Why it is known as Khapa Chan? Because Khapa Chan, it means snowland, and we know Ladakh is a land full of snow. That is why it is known as Khapa Chan. Talking about the physical features, it is surrounded by the Karakoram range in the north and then the Skar range in the south. Several rivers they flow through Ladakh, in which the most important one is Indus. Then Ladakh, it is also surrounded by glaciers. In fact, the height of Ladakh region, it varies from 3000 meter, which is seen in Kargil, to up to 8000 meter, that is in the Karakoram range. So this was all about the location and extent. So the major point that you all have to remember in location and extent is that its surrounding, which is surrounded by the Karakoram range in the north and the Zaskar range in the south. This is the first point that you will have to remember. Secondly, about the river, that is Indus river, it flows through this region and then it is also surrounded by glaciers. Alright. Okay, then height also, the height is between 3000 meter to 8000 meter. Now, let us just understand about the climatic conditions of Ladakh. You all know that Ladakh, since it is in a high altitude place, here the climate is very cold and dry. The air at this altitude is very thin. Now, why do you think the air at this altitude is thin? Because you all know that here, because of this height also, there is lack of oxygen. Now, lack of oxygen means the air will be thin. Then rainfall here is also very low, which is as low as 10 centimeter every year. This was about the climate. Then if you talk about the temperature, you know, the day temperature during the summer season, it is just above 0 degrees Celsius, and in night it can be about minus 25 degrees Celsius. So you all can imagine what is the temperature. And if we talk about this, I am talking about the summers. Okay, now if I tell you about winters, here in the winter the temperature, it is about minus 40 degree Celsius. Clear? This is about the climate of Ladakh. So we have discussed about the location, we have discussed about the climate. Let us just move into flora and fauna. Now the vegetation here is sparse, that is very less. And why it is less? It is due to the lack of moisture. We can only find scanty patches of grasses and shrubs over here. But wherever there are river valleys, there poplars and willows grow. And during the summer season, there are variety of fruits like apples, walnuts, apricots, etc. that grow. Okay, this was about the flora. Now talking about the fauna. The important animals which are found here are yak, wild goats, then wild sheep, and then variety of dogs. In fact, the main bird species which are found here are, they are robins, redstart, snowcocks, ravens, etc. And out of them, some of them are migratory birds. You know what are migratory birds? Migratory birds are those which they come from different parts of a country in a particular season. Alright, those are known as migratory birds. Understood about flora and fauna? Now next we will be seeing about the people of Ladakh, their economic activities. Okay, one more point I was telling here about the flora and fauna. When I was telling you, I told that in the river valleys, poplars and willows grow. Okay, now willow, you know, the cricket bats that we use, that are basically made up of willow woods only. Okay, you should know this point. The cricket bats that I use, they are basically made up of willow wood. Okay, now about people. Here the people, they are Muslim or Buddhist. Okay, in fact, we can see various Buddhist monasteries in Ladakh. In summer, people usually cultivate crops. Okay, and in winter season, people keep themselves engaged in festivities and ceremonies, because winters the climate, it is so cold that this cultivation, that is not possible. So during winters, first of all, they are engaged in all their festivities, all the ceremonies. Apart from that, weaving is also an important occupation which is done during this time. Now Ladakh, we all know it is a famous tourist spot. So you will find a lot of small shops which cater to the needs of the tourist, and all these shops, and I'll not say all, but most of these shops, they are managed by women. Then Leh, which is the capital of Ladakh, it is well connected by roads as well as air. Many efforts are made by the government to improve the economy and the lifestyle of the people. Government is making many efforts, like for example, they have introduced and developed irrigation facilities. Then they have planting traditional trees to meet the demand of fuel wood that is used for cooking basically, all right. So they are planting those traditional trees. Then development of tourism industry, since it is one of the most important tourist spots, so that industry is also being developed. Improvement of transportation and communication facilities. So these are some different initiatives which are made by the government. Understood? Let us just have a recap of what did we understand today. First, I told you about the location and extent, in which I told you the most important point to remember is that it is surrounded by the Karakoram range in the north and Jaskar range in the south. Then it is main river that flows through this region is Indus. It is also surrounded by glaciers. The height or the altitude, it varies from 3000 meter to 8000 meter. 3000 meter is in Kargil, and 8000 meter we can see in Karakoram range. This was about its location. Then climatic condition, this area is very cold. Okay, so due to high altitude, this area, it is very cold and dry. Here the day temperature, it can be during the summer season, it can be just above 0, and night temperature would be around -25. Winters, it can go up to -40. Okay. Then rainfall is very less, which is like 10 centimeter every year. Then talking about flora and fauna, the vegetation is very scanty due to less rainfall. It was also due to the lack of moisture. We can only find scanty patches of grasses and shrubs. However, in the river valleys, poplars and willows grow. Willows, I told you that cricket bats, they are made up of willow woods. Okay. The important animals we have discussed, and there are some migratory birds also which are found here. Then about the people and their economic activities. So crops, they are basically cultivated during the summer season, in which wheat and barley are the major crops. Winters, basically they spend on religious festivities, and weaving is done in winters. Here the women are very hardworking. The shops which run here, the shops women, they work on the field, and they also take care of the shops. Then pashmina, which is very famous, we all know, we have heard about pashmina. So that is also the major source of income for the people of Ladakh. It is in very great demand from the people all over the country. Then here people, they live in small villages, and mostly people who stay here, they are Buddhist or Muslims. People have adapted themselves to the extreme temperatures of the region. Government is also taking a lot of initiatives for the development of the lifestyle of the people over here. I told you some of the initiatives taken by the government. Okay. Then nowadays in some parts of Ladakh, people are also adopting modern lifestyles and they are moving out to work in other cities. Clear? This was all about Ladakh. I hope, I believe you all have understood about Ladakh. You don't have any confusion in that. We have discussed about the hot desert in the previous video, where we discussed about Sahara. In the cold desert, we discussed about Ladakh. I would want all of you to go through these two videos once again and try to figure out the basic difference between a hot desert and the cold desert. What are the basic characteristics that you all got understood in the hot desert? What are the basic characteristics that you all understood in the cold desert? That was all for the day. Take care. Keep studying. Bye bye.